Hello again. Now I'm going to read a story by Shirley Hughes today, another Alfie story, and it's from a book I've got which is called Alfie and Grandma, and it's all about adventures he has with his grandma. He loves her very much, and they have lots of fun together. The story I'm going to read to you from the book is called Looking for Winnie, and you'll find out who Winnie is as we go along. Alfie's grandma lived in the country with her two cats, Juno and Belle. The cats slept in baskets in the kitchen near the stove because they liked being warm. Cats do, don't they? They like to be somewhere where they can curl up. Just up the lane from Grandma's house lived Jim and Lorna Gatting. Their son was grown up and had gone to live far away in New Zealand. They had a dog called Shep and a pig and some hens and two pet tortoises, Winnie and Fred, who were very old. Fred was 89 and nobody knew how old Winnie was. Perhaps nearly 100, Lorna said. Tortoises do live to a very old age. In winter, Winnie and Fred were sleepy and they liked to be indoors in their cosy boxes full of straw. But in summertime, they lived outside in the Gattings' back garden. They had a pen with a little wooden house in it and a grassy space with wire around it to stop them getting out. They look quite happy in there, don't they? Alfie and Annie Rose often helped to feed Winnie and Fred. They ate bits of lettuce and tomato, and they specially liked wild flowers called buttercups. There's lots of those around, aren't there? Alfie often collected a big bunch of them after Jim had cut the grass. He liked watching Winnie and Fred stretch out their leathery necks to nip off the flowers and slowly chew them up in their wide tortoise jaws. One morning, when Alfie and Annie Rose and Grandma went to visit the tortoises, they found Lorna very upset. She told them that when she went out that morning, Fred was there in the pen as usual, but Winnie was nowhere to be seen. She was not inside the little house. Lorna had searched in the long grass around the pen, but there was no Winnie. "She must have got out somehow," said Lorna anxiously. "She was always a bit of a wanderer, but she can't have gone far because tortoises are very slow walkers." Alfie and Grandma and Annie Rose helped Lorna to search for Winnie. Gosh, tortoises could go anywhere, couldn't they? They looked all over the garden, under the bushes and around the shed. Where would you look? Do you think you'd find them in the garden? You can't call or whistle for a tortoise like you can for a cat or a dog. Anyway, Alfie had a feeling that Winnie would not have taken any notice even if she had heard them calling her. I think he thinks Winnie's a little bit cheeky. At supper time, Alfie was too worried about Winnie to eat much. Oh, he looks very concerned, doesn't he? "Perhaps she fell into the pond," he said. "Can Winnie swim?" he asked Grandma. Grandma was doubtful. "I hope she didn't get into the lane," she said. "I don't like to think of her lying on her back in a ditch. Once tortoises are on their backs, they can't get the right way up again." At bedtime, it was still light and sunny. Grandma said that Alfie and Annie Rose could come with her for one last Winnie hunt. do hope they find her. They're searching, aren't they? They set out up the road, looking carefully in the ditch all the way. They walked past the Gattings' house and turned into the lane where old Mrs. Hall lived. Still, there was no sign of Winnie. Then Grandma said that they really would have to turn back. Winnie couldn't possibly have got this far anyway, she said. Mrs. Hall's cottage was very neat and tidy, with neat, tidy flower beds in her garden. Does look very smart, doesn't it? Leading up to the front gate was a neat and tidy path, picked out with big round stones on either side, which were painted white. Oh, Alfie's studying them closely, isn't he? Come on, Alfie. It's long past your bedtime, said Grandma. But Alfie hung back. He was looking very hard at Mrs. Hall's stones. He noticed that one of them was not white, but brown. Had you spotted that? He ran over to get a closer look, and then he saw that it was not a stone at all. It was Winnie. Well spotted, Alfie, said Grandma, giving him a hug. I never imagined that Winnie could walk so far. Tortoises can't be such slow walkers after all. Well done, Alfie, for spotting that. I don't think Grandma had seen her. Alfie picked up Winnie and carried her carefully back to the Gattings' house. He looks very proud of himself. Lorna was delighted. She just could not stop saying how clever Alfie was to have found her, and how naughty it was of Winnie to go off like that and pretend to be a stone. They carried Winnie into the garden and put her back into the pen. She stretched out her neck and looked about her with her beady black tortoise eyes. Alfie and Annie Rose fed her with an extra supply of buttercups. I'm so glad we've got her back, said Grandma. But Fred did not seem particularly pleased to see Winnie. He just went inside his shell and would not come out. Oh dear, maybe it gave Fred quite a shock. I hope you enjoyed the story. I'm so glad he found Winnie in the end. Now, we usually like to give Bertie a little treat, don't we, at the end of our story? So I've got one ready. So let's see what he's up to. Bertie, here. Good boy. Come and get your biscuit. Yeah, good boy. Very gentle, aren't you? What a good boy. That's a good boy. You wouldn't run off, would you? Go hiding in the stones. You do like to hide in the garden a little. Good boy. I hope you've enjoyed our story. We'll see you again for some more soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.